Hey, 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 everybody. Welcome to another edition of Let's Talk Business with me, Suzette. Today we're going to be talking about bleh, business taxes. Again, last week we talked about business taxes. Unfortunately, there was some technical difficulties, so I wasn't able to repost it, but that's okay because we're going to talk about it again today. In the meantime, while I'm waiting for Tika, I want to talk about my accountability program. Okay. So, I am launching an accountability partner program for business owners who have goals that are, well, maybe you don't have goals, but who want to set out goals and who want to be able to fulfill them, but have some difficulties in doing so. So if you struggle with being disciplined, with holding yourself accountable, then I highly recommend that you join the accountability program. So it's going to start in February. It's a 3-month program. Hey, Business Takeout. Thanks for joining. And we're going to be covering different topics. So marketing your business, creating a plan for your business. A lot of you do not have a plan. You're just operating in your business, which is a potential big problem. So the accountability program will start February 1st. I will be taking anybody who has questions about the program and wants more information. You can book a session with me for free using the link in my bio. It's something that you don't want to miss, and I'm going to be having it throughout the year, but I highly recommend that you start off the beginning of the year with an actual plan. Okay, so accountability partner program is going to be starting February 1st. Any questions, send me a DM, or you can book some free time with me to talk about it. I'm also going to be going away again on Monday. I am going to I'm going to Milan. Okay, I'm going for a week. Guys, COVID messed up my whole entire traveling flex. Like I am I'm a junkie for traveling. I'm a travel junkie. And during COVID, I was not able to go much places, as everybody knows. But now that I'm free and I can fly, I'm flying. So, all right. So bear with me for a moment. We're going to be waiting for Tika to jump in. Tika is an accountant. She's the owner of Hyatt Accounting. She loves to do taxes and numbers and bookkeeping. She's super passionate about it. Some people, it takes all different kinds of people to do things that some others don't want to do. I don't like anything to do with taxes of that sort. I like to work with numbers, but not with taxes. So Tika is super passionate about her business. She's actually managing all my books right now for both my businesses. I was a hot mess. I literally said to her, Tika, I have receipts in a shoebox. And I handed them to her and she sorted them out and she is fixing everything up. So Tika will be joining us shortly. Tika. She's also very shy, and I twisted her arm to come on here to do this live. So she'll be with us shortly. But yes, Tika, the accountant, she will be talking about business taxes. Okay, so for anybody just joining, guys, I was also talking about the accountability partner program that I'm starting in February for business owners who need to be held accountable. If you are having difficulties setting goals, if you have goals but you're having difficulties fulfilling them, if you hit a roadblock in your business and you're not sure exactly what to do, I highly recommend to either book a consultation and or join the accountability partner program. Okay, it's going to be starting in February because I'm going away on Monday. I'm going to Milan. Going for a week. So, hey everyone, 5-minute closer, Sienna Cakes, Frequency Events. Hey everyone, bear with me. Tika will be joining me shortly to talk about business taxes, her favorite thing to do. Hey everyone. So I want to ask you guys while we're waiting for Tika, how many of you struggle with holding yourself accountable? Are you guys a type of business owners that if you set out to do something, you actually do it? Or do you struggle with fulfilling that thing? I want you guys to drop comments in the chat. Let me know. Do you hold yourself accountable, or do you struggle with accountability in your business? And if you struggle in your business, sometimes you may struggle with that in your personal life as well. But I'm not here for that today. I'm talking about business. So I would like to know if any of you guys are having difficulties with holding yourself accountable. Hey everyone, thanks for joining. We're waiting for Tika. We're going to be talking about business taxes and all that fun stuff. So get your pen and paper or notepads ready to take down a whole bunch of notes, because tax season is around the corner. And if you don't have your books in order, it's going to create a big problem. Okay. While waiting for Tika, I'll tell you guys my story. Again, I've said it many times. My old business, so I used to be an event planner and decorator. I started that business 9 years ago now. And I did my taxes. It was a sole proprietorship at the time, and I didn't know any better. And it was a sole proprietorship, and I filed my taxes. I submitted all my receipts. Well, I submitted all my expenses, I should say. I got a return, and fast forward 6 years later, after I already locked up shop and I stopped running the business, CRA, Canada Revenue Agency, they wrote me a letter, okay? And they said, hey, Suzette, you remember that business you had 6 years ago and you filed all that expenses and we gave you a return? We now need proof of those expenses. Well, I had all my receipts in a shoebox and I moved, and while I moved, I threw out my receipts because I was like, my taxes were filed and everything went through and I was fine. I threw out all my receipts, okay, for 2 years. And CRA needed those receipts. They wanted proof of all my expenses, and I didn't have them. And guess what? Because I didn't have proof of receipts and expenses from 6 years prior, they reversed all my expenses that I submitted for my business. And they're like, well, if we don't have receipts, then it never happened. And I owed them $16,000. $16,000 I owed CRA. Yeah. So imagine stopping a business and 6 years later, getting a notification from the Canada Revenue Agency that you owe them $16,000. Oh, and then they charge you crazy interest on it. So I ended up paying more than that. If you don't pay them a lump sum, they continue to charge you taxes, interest on it. So CRA is not anyone you want to mess with. Okay, so this is what we're going to be talking about with Tika and your business taxes. And hey guys, sorry. Tika, she's having some difficulties connecting. So, yeah, so that was my very traumatic CRA story. I owed them $16,000 for a business that I shut down. So, and you can't run away from CRA. CRA will come and find you. They are the highest level of government, and they will go into your account and they will take that money out if you ignore them. Okay, so you don't want to mess around with CRA. Tika is now joining the live. She's going to tell us how to avoid that. Okay, so you want to be able to maximize your expenses. Okay, Tika, you have to send me a request. Yeah, so you need to be able to maximize your one of the benefits of actually having an accountant and having someone manage your books is that they are aware of a lot of that right off. Hey, Tika.
Hello.
Nice.
How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. We were rambling on about my story that I've told you a million times over with CRA, telling everybody about how I owe the CRA $16,000 for a business that was closed down. So, guys, if you don't know, CRA can go back as far as 7 years. So anything that you do with your business and your filing, you want to keep your receipts for 7 years. You can go back and they can claw back money if you don't have supporting evidence. Okay, so
Yes, critical information.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm telling everybody I was so embarrassed by that story, but I think that it's really important because I was ignorant at the time and I threw out my receipts, and 6 years later they came back. I said that, yeah, we need all those receipts, and I was like, I threw them out.
Yeah,
So,
and the problem is too, a lot of the times we don't know where they are. They could be all over the place, right? So
they were all over the place. I had like my receipts were thrown down in my car, they were in my purse, they were in suitcases, they were in shoe boxes. I was telling everybody how I showed up to your office with a shoe box of receipts, and I was like, Tika, take the wheel.
Yeah.
So I'm a hot mess when it comes to that. It's not my forte, and this is why it's important to hire someone like Tika who can manage that for you. She absolutely, oh, I love that filter. Guys, this is Tika's second time going on live. Okay, yeah. So bear with her. So Tika, thank you so much for joining me. Let's get into it. So introduce yourself. I love your hair, by the way. Introduce yourself in your business and tell everybody what it is that you do.
Okay, so hello to everybody that does know me, that has worked with me or connected with me. I appreciate you all. I am Tika, aka Latika Hyatt. That's how you pronounce my name. I've been incorporated since 2017. I've been in the bookkeeping industry since 2007 in the corporate world, just doing my thing. And I've just branched off and just grown and elevated since then.
Yay! And Tika is amazing at what she does. Like, she loves, when I brought her the shoebox of receipts, her face lit up. She was like, oh, she looked so happy with my hot mess in my hand. And every time I looked at my receipts, I was just like, I can't manage this. This is too much. But Tika took the wheel and she sorted out all my finances for my business, all my receipts, got everything in order. She's amazing. Godsend. Thank you so much, Tika.
You're saying that now because you've handed me the receipts. On the back end, it's receipts. There's better ways to manage actual receipt, right? Taking pictures, uploading them, just making sure that you even take the receipts and staple them to your bank statement for your business is another method that you can do. So yeah, there's receipts and there's organizing them, but I'm happy to get anything from any client, right? Let's just say that.
Well, and like I said, her face lit up. I saw a little twinkle in her eye when I brought you those all those receipts. But there is better ways of managing your receipts. I know that you're really big on QuickBooks. Everybody talks about QuickBooks, and I finally registered both my businesses in QuickBooks. So maybe speak a little bit of the benefits with QuickBooks and why, if someone doesn't have it for their business, why they should get it.
Yes. So with regards to QuickBooks, it's a great tool to help you categorize things, right? If you're a person that wants to do your bookkeeping yourself, if you want to be able to have everything in one centralized place, it's a great tool. It is pretty much required with corporations because it's one centralized hub to get your financial statements, so your income statement, your balance sheet, and even reviewing your trial balance. Pretty critical there. So QuickBooks is a great tool. You can upload receipts, the same receipts that we were talking about, into QuickBooks, and it can help categorize things, right? So if you're on a budget and you don't want to outsource the work, just setting up certain systems can actually help you in the long run.
So you can actually scan your receipts right into QuickBooks, so you don't have to have a shoebox of receipts.
Exactly.
Yeah, when you spoke, I was like, what?
Yes, exactly.
So categorizing is another important thing for business. What are some main categories that, I know every business is different, but what are some basic categories that each business should have in terms of like sorting out your receipts that a business owner should know about?
Well, I mean, there's standards, right? There's the standard categories, and obviously every business and every industry is different, but I can tell you what categories people seem to forget.
Mm-hmm.
It's, you know, the basic recurring transactions that happen, right? So if you're paying for a Jane subscription, you're paying for Wix fees, if you're paying for merchant service providers, those fees get lost, right? If you're, you know, using Stripe or Shopify, PayPal, those little transactions, they add up sometimes to hundreds of dollars, and sometimes they're not captured. Um, Meals and entertainment, 50%, here and there. We have advertising, right? So let's just say in the real estate industry, there's lots of advertising and promotions, and there's gifts, and then there's other things, you know, staging fees. You know, in the psychology industry, there's things that are going on like paying a percentage fee out, like a cut and stuff. So again, there's the standard ones, right? Business licenses, the meals and entertainment, office supplies,
Travel.
expenses. Travel is tricky. Just because you go somewhere doesn't mean you write it off, right? I mean, if you're going out there to generate revenue and you can actually prove it or have conversations around business structure, then write it off. But everything's within reason, right? We're not here to scam the system. We're here to know what we can deduct and how we can deduct it if it's not deductible, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, like that. So, for example, would that be, I know a common one that a lot of people aren't aware of is home offices. So maybe explain that a little bit, like how that can be a write-off for someone who has a home business.
So if you were to primarily work from home as a sole proprietor or a corporation, you would just take basically the square footage of your whole home. Then you would take the square footage of the area that you use strictly for business, a little bit of washroom in there too. And then you would just take that percentage and you would deduct a portion of your rent, your utilities, mortgage interest, expense, property tax over that period, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And with that ratio amount, yeah.
Okay. So like if you have, I don't know, 100 square foot home, but 10 square feet is used for your office or for whatever part of the business you're running, you can write that portion off as a claim on your expense.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So
it's
guys,
not just
this is great.
your rent. It's not just your rent. You know, it's all the utilities. You know, if you had a home phone still, if you have internet, you would do that, right? And those types of things too. If you are in a specific industry and, you know, you had maintenance that needed to be done on the property for people to come and visit you and have these meetings, that would be part of it as well. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Maybe we can speak to sole proprietorships. 'Cause I know there's a lot of people that that are sole proprietorships, and the lines can sometimes get crossed when it comes to showing proof from your business from personal life. So how would a sole proprietor go about showing proof that this is for my business, this is not for my personal life?
So for sole proprietors, I always recommend, you know, getting a separate bank account, okay? Having all of your transactions happen in one central place, whether it's one separate business bank account, one separate business savings account, and one separate business credit card. Having all those transactions flow through in one central place, you'll be able to, you know, get your source documents, attach it to that, and know where everything is flowing in and out of, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have your own personal account. So if you were to ever have to, you know, prove anything, you can say that this is what I have and this is also what I have, right? I hope that makes sense.
No, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. So keeping it separate so that in the event you need to show proof
It's
of all
Yeah.
of all your expenses. You can say, this is all the transactions that went through this account. This is my business account. I know, again, circling back to when I first did my first business and I didn't know any better, I had one bank account. I had my pay. I was working at the time. I had my pay going in there. I had my money from the business in there. And for me, it was just like the money was all mixed up. So when I did do my taxes, it was like a scramble to figure out what was for business and what wasn't. And I had to print off tons of transactions and go through it line by line because I didn't have a bookkeeper. I wasn't accounting for any of that, and say, okay, this is for the business. And it was a mess because then how do you prove that that part of it was for business, right?
Yeah.
So
you have a little bit of a accounting or a background, don't you?
I do. But it was one thing to do for somebody else. So I took it was 1 year for accounting. And I came out of it and
imagine somebody that has no idea that's getting a letter like this, right? And being a safe, reliable place to, calm someone down and kind of help them get through and manage this is very important. So definitely separating everything business, every single thing business. I mean, if you are in business, wouldn't you want to act like you're in business or even mind your business, right? Yeah. Who else is going to do it for you? Yeah. So very important.
You can do it for me. Tika, guys. In case you were having any difficulties that I have, Tika can do it for you. So circling back to sole proprietorship, well, not just sole, but any business owners that are running their business on their own and they're not at the level yet for whatever reason to hire an accountant. Is there any other programs that you would recommend or ways of tracking expenses on a monthly or daily basis that can help them? So we talked about QuickBooks. Is there any other means?
So Wave is free. Wave is free. Excel is free. Just getting into the habit is what you really want to do, right? If that's something that you want to do, you'll find structure, you'll find something that easily, something that you can create, right? And just go in there and just put things together. Getting an online folder to upload everything if you don't want to pay for those services, definitely, right? Those are all resources that anybody can use. So again, Excel, getting an online shared folder to keep those transactions in there is really good. And I think you can even import pictures into Excel, right? So if you wanted to attach a bunch of stuff, you can do that there within reason.
Yeah, I used Wave. I really liked Wave. I used it for a number of years because it actually shows you all your income, all your expenses. Again, you have to upload all of that. Yeah. But it was really helpful. Now I use Dubsado for the lounge, and that is actually really good because it has a workflow. So that kind of manages itself on its own, and then I have it linked to PayPal, and PayPal just takes the money and then it just sits there until I release it. So, so there's a lot of different
I find that it's easier to obviously track your income because there's, all those other tools and resources, right? But with the expenses, and I do have to stress this, keep it all in one central place. It's the new year, it's the top of the year, just get these new habits in order. Instead of scrambling, April and saying, I don't know, right? Yeah.
Don't scrambled in June.
You don't have to, right?
Yeah.
Even with Wave, you can actually download your transactions, and I think you can also, again, upload those receipts to Wave as well, and it's free, right? You just have to put in a little bit more work.
Yeah. So part of it, a large part of it, guys, is remaining consistent. So, making sure that each month or each week, even better, or each day is the best to upload all your receipts and make sure that you submit everything, like to whatever program you're using. And if you can't, Tika, here, lovely Tika. Ooh, Tika, let's talk about what it is that you do. So maybe talk about the services that you provide to business owners specifically.
Okay, I definitely made notes, so that's what I'm looking at. But having a safe central place to ask questions is first and foremost. A lot of the times people are Googling things and thinking that they can just find those answers themselves. I'm not saying I'm a doctor or anything, but if I were to Google my symptoms, I probably wouldn't get the best results, right? So asking the right questions is very important. Finding someone to build a relationship with is very important. So I offer, tax services, of course, for sole proprietors and corporations. Bookkeeping is where my heart is. That's where I like to organize things and clean up things and tell your full story, like, I'm an author, and that's how I will present things over to CRA to you. Helping you find SOPs and structure for your businesses, right? So again, if your business needed something along the lines of opening up one business bank account, structuring putting away the HST portion into the savings account only, and then, just doing a little bit of tax planning when it comes to how you want to pay taxes, if you were a corporation, with the withdrawals out of your account. So soft CFO services there. And again, HST filing, WSIB, payroll, yada, yada, yada.
All that good stuff. Yeah. So Tika does a lot of things. Okay, she said that her heart is in bookkeeping, and it is. Like, she actually lights up if it makes her happy, and it gives me anxiety. It's funny because Tika here, although she's doing an amazing job, she's very nervous for public speaking, and she was at my very first Network and Chill, and she did such an amazing job. I'm always putting her on the spot. I'm like, Tika, stop your nonsense, you're coming on this live. And here she is doing an amazing job.
I was kicking and screaming.
She was, and I was just like, stop your nonsense, come on, I'm waiting for you. And she's doing such an amazing job. And I'm saying this because I'm comfortable with public speaking. I have a number of stories where I've just been thrown into like hosting events randomly, and I don't get anxiety for that. I get anxiety for bookkeeping, for accounting, for taxes. CRA scares me. Okay, from my traumatic story where they came and robbed me of $16,000. That gives me anxiety. It gives Tika pleasure and joy. She gets happy. Okay, so guys, if we're struggling with managing your books and accounting and bookkeeping, this is her desire. She loves it. She'll gladly help you. I went to her like a hot mess, and she made me feel so comfortable. One thing I really liked about our transaction to Tika was that you have an educational part of it. So you didn't just take my stuff and just be like, okay, Sue, all right, I'll fix it and whatever. She actually sits down and in a very soothing voice explains, a lot of the processes, because the educational part is super important, because if you do something in ignorance like I did and throw out your receipts, it can come back to bite you in the butt.
Yeah.
6 years later and have a very big bite, $16,000 worth. So, that's one thing I really like about your services. And if anybody is looking for an accountant, I highly recommend that you reach out to Tika. So Tika, in closing, is there any suggestions? Actually, sorry, one question before that. What are some of the benefits of coming to you? So I mentioned a few versus trying to manage your books on their own.
It depends on what industry, but I'm niching down, and industry-based is something that is a benefit. So I'll know the ins and outs of, some of the tools that's being used. So in the psychotherapy, social work, there's Jane, and getting familiar with things that are going on there. OWL as well. So it's also somewhere where I'm trying to work more on building a relationship. I find, just like you mentioned, taking the receipts and not building a relationship doesn't serve a purpose for me and or said client, right? I don't know you. I don't know what's going on, just simply building a relationship where you can message me at, whatever time and say, hey, I'm buying a car tomorrow. What do you think about this, or what can I do? as opposed to just doing it and then dealing with it later because you don't have a point of contact or that relationship. Watching you grow with the shared goals, right? You know, if you had a bad year last year, what can we do? What can we do to improve? So looking and analyzing last year and, you know, predicting what can happen in this current year. Accurate bookkeeping, filing taxes, and getting things in order for you. Even if you don't think I'm doing things in the background, I definitely am. I know it can be hard sometimes because you just don't know what's going on. Measuring and comparing your success is very important. Along with all the CRA filings and processes and stuff like that, just connecting and building your empire and minding your business with you is what you get.
I like that. Measuring your success, guys. Super duper important. I talk to a number of people on a weekly basis where I ask them, like, okay, how did you do last year? And they have no clue. There's no tracking system. Like, oh, I have my receipts somewhere, but they're not aware of it. It's something that they actually have to go and do. And that's not good in your business. You need to know, am I in a plus? Am I in a minus? Am I where I want to be? Is there, you know, potential space for me to go even higher and make more money? There's always potential, right? It's a matter of strategizing and knowing, okay, how do I market this? How can I make more money? So I really like that you touched on that in terms of measuring your success, because it's super important. It's a cost of living goes up every year. Every year, cost of living. Okay, how much groceries are? Went to the grocery store today and like nearly dead. Okay, picked up 2 apples and a bag of groceries for $300. I'm like, you know, so you have to make sure that you're also bringing in income that can match that, if not double that, right? So.
And also knowing what your bottom line number is, like, what are you being taxed on, right? You can't just, you know, run and hide. Being ignorant isn't serving any purpose. So just knowing what your net income is and where you owe money is very important as well. Another thing is how much HST you've collected, right? And is being offset by those expenses is very important. A lot of people will just wake up shocked, but you knew what you were collecting, right? Or you should know. And that's where this disconnect comes from, you know? So knowing where your HST, where you are at a point in time. So, you know, every month, every quarter, semi-annually, you have to know these things.
Okay, so we talked about HST. Let's kind of go a little bit further. So, okay, we're not closing yet, guys. Sorry. HST. At what point, is a very common question, at what point should a business start filing for HST and have an HST number?
Very good question. So, depending on your industry, in my opinion, very carefully, I'm going to say this. In my opinion, based off of your industry, if you your income or the revenue that you're generating is under $30,000 in Ontario, it is not mandatory to have an HST number. Okay. Once you cross that threshold, that's when you need to start collecting and reporting it, right? Depending on what industry you are in, it may serve you to open up an HST account before you hit that $30,000 mark. Depending on where you are in, you know, developing your business, it may be beneficial to open up your HST account. And when I say that, I mean, if your first year of business and you're generating not a lot of income or revenue, but you have expenses going out the roof, you may want to get that refund or cash back from the HST that you've spent in Canada back in cash, right? If you are just a service-based industry and you don't have much expenses at all, it may not be beneficial to you. You don't have to voluntarily open one. So when you get to that $30,000 mark, that is that mark where you need to start charging HST.
So I can speak to that a little bit because I've had both. So I have my service-based business, Suno's business, which I did not have an HST number right from the beginning. I added that in a year later, I think, or 2 years, a year and a half later, I started to add HST. Whereas the lounge, when I opened that right away, I had an HST number like right off the bat. Like that was one of the first things I did. And that for the exact same reason that you just mentioned. So it helped because I'm in my first year of business, and it helped a whole lot having that HST number. And fingers crossed, I'm looking forward towards a refund. So
Yeah.
guys, HST, I know a lot of times we associate HST and taxes as a bad thing, but depending on your business and where you're at with it and how much your income is, it can actually work to your benefit. So and guys, if you have questions, please drop them in the comment box.
One more thing I would like to mention about HST for individuals that are doing their personal taxes themselves, so they're T1s. When you're doing your taxes yourself, don't include the HST amount in your personal tax return. There's a separate return for HST, so make sure you remove that when you're filing your personal taxes. I've seen situations where it's everything, your gross amount, and you're being taxed essentially twice on your personal tax return and then on the HST side, right? So instead of reversing, amending, refiling, just remember to back out the HST on both what's collected and what you paid out.
Okay. You guys hear that? I did not know that. See, ignorance does not pay in business, okay, especially when it comes to taxes. And the CRA is not going to take ignorance as an answer for you not filing your stuff properly. Yeah. And they will come clawing back for their money. Suzette knows this. I was there.
You know what? The last thing that I'll mention about HST is the government doesn't play with that one. The government does not play with that HST one. It will make or break you. So please just file your HST returns. That is the red flag, major red flag.
How often are you supposed to file your HST?
It depends. Obviously, if you're generating a lot more revenue, then you would probably be more frequent. So I don't remember what the limit is, but it would be quarterly. If you're up there in numbers, sometimes you could be monthly, but typically for even sole proprietors, it could be on an annual basis. Annual is probably the most common one for sole proprietors. Okay. When it comes to corporate owners or even sole proprietors that are generating a lot of revenue, so if you're in the real estate industry or anything like that, I would recommend just putting the HST aside. You know what you're receiving, put it aside. It's not yours. It's a liability. Don't touch it. Yeah.
Put it aside. Okay, so I spoke about this on the last live with Lorianne about different accounts for your business. So HST is a main one. And thank goodness I was told this earlier on, so I was able to do it. In terms of HST, what's the best way of putting it? You said put aside. So what does that mean? Can I elaborate what you mean by putting aside the HST?
That goes back to when I was mentioning have your business bank account, have a savings account, and have a credit card. Having at least one savings account for the business where you literally at the end of every month, you'll know how much you've received in HST. Just put it in the savings account. A savings account, any savings account related to the business, just transfer it over, right? If you were to do bookkeeping at the end of every month, then you would know how much you get to keep back of what it is that you collected. So you'll have a true number. But putting aside, the people that money, do that. It's important.
All right. Is there, so bookkeeping would be a great way to kind of keep a track of the number. Is there a rough percentage you would say, would you say put aside 13% of your...
In Ontario, yeah. In Ontario, definitely.
Okay, so guys, if you are keeping track of how much money you're making, The rule of thumb then would be to put like 30% from your income from your sales for HST and keep it for end of the year. Okay? So I did do that, but then Tika came back with some good news and said that I should hopefully get a refund. So yay. Colin.
I think we signed a non-disclosure agreement, so I won't even respond with that one.
No. I know, no. But okay, so another thing, so a question here. Can you give a few examples of which industry you would recommend, even if they're not making $30,000? Would
recommend
you
opening up an HST account voluntarily under 30,000? If that's what they mean, then I would, like, the first one that comes to mind is a product-based company. So if you're in the clothing industry, if you buy a lot of materials, cost of goods sold, so inventory, cost of goods sold, that you're turning around and purchasing, that's the industry that I would recommend, because you're spending, like, it's just always spending. And yeah.
Okay, so there you go. Hopefully that answered your question. Then there's one more question. What is the best way to organize your receipts? Okay, so we went through this. You probably missed it, but could you recap quickly? What's the best way to organize receipts?
Again, it depends on what works best for you. You can just put everything in an envelope in your car and keep it there. You can take pictures of it, upload it to a shared folder, sync it to an accounting software, input the data in Excel, print off the Excel spreadsheet with your bank statements, clip it all together for the month, and move on. So, you know, whatever strategy works for you, and working with somebody that can help you is very important, right? Yeah.
That would be you. That would be, Tika's trying to be humble here. That would be Tika, okay, who can help you with that. She showed me QuickBooks. She introduced me to QuickBooks. I heard of it, but I was just reluctant to use it, and I was avoiding it as much as I can. But Tika put me onto it, and actually one thing I like about QuickBooks, guys, is that they actually will train you. So if it's your first time setting up QuickBooks, they will give you a free training and walk you through the actual program. Because I found it
sponsored by QuickBooks.
You would think so, right? You could pay me. Yes, it's true. You think so? No, you know what? I was so I wouldn't say against it, but I didn't want to learn a new program. Like that's all I do every day.
You mentioned that. You said I'm using Dubsado, and I was like, what's that?
Yeah. For me, like I'm not young anymore, although I may look it. But it was another thing to learn, and my poor brain is full, and like I keep hearing QuickBooks, and finally when like you put your foot down, you're like, get QuickBooks, and I got the training. I was like, wow, this can do a whole lot of things, and it actually saves a lot of the mess and chaos that I had in my shoeboxes of receipts.
Yes.
And I love the fact that you can have like an easy like snapshot of the whole business. So it'll actually go in, it'll tell you, you made this amount of money today, and and it has like a graph, and it goes up and down, so it's really, really helpful. So I'm just really impressed with it. I'm glad that I finally...
I also offered a service for the bookkeeping training. So if you literally just want to invest one time in getting your books in order for me to teach you, that is something that I have as a service, right? So that you can get familiar with your books as well. I mean, some people have the time to learn the back end of their business, and other times people just want to just generate their revenue and do what they love, right? Just setting things up is very important, not slacking.
Yeah. So if you guys are a self-starter and you want to learn how to use QuickBooks, Tika can show you how to do this. Another service that she provides. So guys, thank you so much for joining me this evening. And Tika, thank you so much. You did an amazing job, okay? Amazing job. Thank you so much for joining me today. Tell everyone where they can find you if they need your service, which they probably do.
They can follow me on Instagram at Tika_the accountant, and they can also email me at info@hyattbooksinc.com. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Everything else is on my website at hyattbooks.com.
And Tika, another thing I forgot to ask, do you do like a consultation with people? So like if I'm just starting out new in my business or I'm trying to get my business in order, do you do like, what would be the process in terms of kind of getting your services?
I do offer that service. It's really just a free consultation type of thing for something like that for me, right? If it's just, having this basic conversation that we're having right now, having it again one-on-one, it's a free service. Just like the link in my bio to pick a date or something like that, whatever they say, and then we can take it from there. But if you're looking for the CFO services to have me hold your hand, that's completely different, right? So setting up new businesses and stuff like that, it's a phone call, right? It's just really a phone call. Yeah.
It's that easy, guys. So no excuses as to why you should not have your books in order for 2023. Okay, Tika, thank you so much for joining me, guys. Go and follow her in the chat there, Tika_the accountant, and she's the owner of Hyatt Accountant. She can help you with your books, and you also do personal taxes too. Right, so that's another thing. We focus on business in this segment. Okay, so thank you so much, guys. Thank you, everyone. Hope you have a awesome evening. And somebody had asked if I'm going to repost this. I will repost this live. Okay. All right. So you all have a good night. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you. Bye. Bye.